So we have a rather fun practice that we are going to be coming back from spring break with. We are doing our hip opening practice and creating a little bit more of that range of motion, improving our flexibility in our hips, and with a little bit more attention to the posterior side of our hips. In 2 weeks, we're going to be covering more of our front of our hips, the hip flexors, although we will get into some of our hip flexors a little bit today. But these tend to be rather enlightening and sometimes shocking with like just the realization that we have these muscles and that they might be rather tight. Or that they might grip on a lot more than we ever thought that we knew. This is a practice that I really would like for you guys to practice your breathing. So whenever you do notice that you're holding on, gripping, experiencing a rather intense sensation, try to find that release, try to find that relaxation, that pause of like, okay, there is some ease in this pose to be found. So remember, when we talked about the 8-limb path, there were basically only 2 sutras that related to asana or posture. And the main one that we always address is that asana or posture should be steady and easeful. So make sure that you are not only steady in your practice, but more specifically with this practice today, inviting that sense of ease, that relaxation and that softening, and letting yourself give in to that sensation of stretch. Yeah, and we will do a little bit of review of previous poses that we have had from previous weeks. If you do happen to have any props available, some good props to have would be a block for today, or even a blanket, Mexican blanket. Really works well because those the cotton blankets have a lot of thickness and structure to them. If you happen to have maybe a regular bath towel, that could work also. And we can roll it up and fold it up in a different way. Just something that you can elevate your pelvis on, because sometimes it feels really nice to give yourself that extra space so that you're not surrendering all the way down to the ground, which can be rather taxing on our current flexibility. And regular towel, etc. So let's go ahead. We're going to start off on our backs today. I'm going to read to you as we start. So go ahead and come onto your back into your corpse pose, setting yourself up in a way that you can either have your knees bent or the legs straight out. Good. And as you start to settle in, make sure that you feel that your pelvis feels rather flat, that you can relax your legs, that you feel that your spine is free and mobile and suggestible to movement of things like the breath. So close your eyes if you haven't already. Take a big full breath in through your nose. Open up your mouth, exhale, let out a sigh. Maybe a sound comes out with that. And take another full breath in through your nose again. See if you can expand through your collarbones wider. Open up your mouth, let out a sigh, and release your body. Let it go into the ground. Good, we'll do one more together like that. Another big full breath. See if you can feel this expansion of the breath in your low back. And exhale all the way out through your mouth. letting it go slowly. I want you to continue to breathe here. Eyes closed, mouth relaxed. Just start to settle into the ground, feeling heavy and weighted. The quote from today comes from a gentleman named Marcel Proust. The real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes. In the movie Phenomenon, John Travolta's character has done everything that he can think of to keep this pesky rabbit out of his garden. He's even put a fence up that goes 3 feet underground, and still everything he plants is nibbled through. Suddenly one night he wakes and realizes he's been going about this all wrong. In the moonlight, he quietly goes to his garden and opens the gate, then sits on his porch and waits. To his surprise, as he begins to fall asleep, the rabbit scurries out of the gate. While he'd been trying to keep it out, the rabbit was trapped in his garden, and he was inadvertently keeping it in. How often do we barricade and fence up our lives against hurt and loss, thinking we're keeping the painful things out, when they're already trapped inside us, eating at our roots? And what we really need to do is open the gate and let them out. As you lie here, remaining centered with breath, consider what you are currently trying to keep out of your heart. It might be a fear of what's to be, or a memory of what has been, or the truth of a situation you are living right now. Keeping your eyes closed, imagine opening the gate to your heart and wait. Breathe and wait. Breathe slowly and give the rabbit a chance to leave your garden. Take another full breath in here. Deep breath out. With your next inhale, raise the arms all the way up towards the sky. If your knees are bent, start to straighten out your legs and reach through your fingers and toes in opposite directions, lengthening out through the entire body. Stretch. Good. And then gently tuck the knees in towards your chest one by one. Hands wrapping around either the front of the shins or the back of the thighs, and just rock side to side, massaging out your back and spine. The tighter your knees are into the body, the more you're going to feel this in your low back. And the more that your knees are forward, away from your body, then the more you're going to feel this in the top of the gluteals. Good. Just rock side to side, massaging out here. Good. And come back into stillness. We're going to tip all the way over to the right. So knees, arms, hands, etc. Extend your right arm out along the floor and then place your left hand on top. We're going to actually go through a nice little clock with our arms. So just imagine that your left hand is the hand or the minute hand of the clock. Okay, so I want you to take your left hand up towards your head. You circle it all the way around. See if you can touch the ground as you circle it all the way around, down through the left side and across the side of your body and all the way back up to your right hand again. So go through a few more rounds of this. If you need to see, you can certainly look at the camera or the video to see this. Otherwise, seeing if you can make these big circles with your left arm. Hopefully trying not to take everything out of your room that might be standing or nearby. Good. And the next time your left arm is all the way out wide into that T-shaped pause here, see if you can wrap your left shoulder towards the ground, keeping your knees still stacked on top of each other. Draw the navel in towards your spine for another moment. Good, and then squeezing from your inner thighs, lift the knees up through center. We're going to take the knees all the way over to the left. We're going to do the same thing. I'm just going to adjust myself so I'm not into the fireplace. So now we're going to have the left hand stacked, the right hand stacked on top of the left. And you're going to circle that right arm up towards the wall by your head, circling it all the way around into that T shape by your arm and leg, and sweeping it up and over. See if you can invite the breath with your movement. Perhaps it's an exhale as the arm sweeps down by your side, and a big inhale up and overhead. Maybe it's one big breath for the entire circle, depending on how quickly you're moving or how slowly you are breathing. And the next time that your right arm is stretched out wide into that T shape, reach the hand in the opposite direction of your left fingers and see if you can ground your right shoulder down even more. It may not touch the ground, mine doesn't, but just see if you can relax it into the floor, widening through the collarbone, drawing navel in towards spine, and maybe even turning your gaze over towards the right. Take another full breath in here. And then using your exhalation, I want you to lift your legs back up through center. So lifting as you squeeze those inner thighs, pull them back up through center. Adjust myself on the mat real quick. Okay, so now we're going to go into a new posture. I don't think that we've done this one just yet, but this is a rather fun and interesting posture known as happy baby. So if you've done this one before, feel free to come into it now. I'm going to do this sideways, although you'll probably, I'll turn sideways in just a moment so you guys don't get the full view. So I want you to bring your knees in towards your belly. You're going to open your knees wider than your torso. So that also goes with your ankles too. So ankles and knees go wide. And now I want you to keep your knees still tucked in towards your body. Lift your feet up towards the sky. So your back and your pelvis are on the ground. If you have a lot of tension in your spine, especially in your hamstrings, you may find that your bottom lifts up quite a bit. Do the best that you can to get your bottom heavy, but it's okay if it's still lifted up in the air. So with those knees tucked in towards your shoulders, your outer shoulders, I want you to grab a hold of either the back of the thighs, the outer shins, ankles, or even the outsides of your feet. So you'll know that if you're having difficulty getting your knees down and grabbing onto your feet, maybe see if you can separate your legs wider so that the legs are going to plunge down along the outsides of your torso. So just underneath the armpits. You want to keep those collarbones nice and wide. So this is the side view. I'm going to go for a little bit more of a diagonal so you can kind of see exactly what is happening. If that's a better view for you, better is not sure if that actually makes a difference. Good. Looking good, guys. All right, see if you can flip your feet up as if you're holding the ceiling with your feet. So toes pulled down towards your shins, and just imagine that the ceiling is coming down and you're basically supporting it with your feet here. Ooh. All right, so with your happy baby, let's rock side to side, massaging out. Be careful to not tip all the way over. You may feel like an unfortunate turtle as we're doing this posture. It would be a funnier name, I guess. This also has been called a dead bug pose, happy baby, and one of my favorite teachers used to call it happy husband pose. So not to be crude or anything. All right, let's go ahead and come back to stillness. Bend your knees fully, draw your legs towards each other. Now we're gonna fully tip over onto one side, rolling all the way over. You're gonna press your hand into the floor, extend your top leg, ease your way up, and let's make our way onto our hands and knees into tabletop. Good. So hands are gonna be directly underneath your shoulders. Fingertips are spread out wide, and the knees underneath your pelvis. Good. Let's go through some cat-cows. So setting yourself up with a strong base, tops of feet pressing into the floor. Inhale, lengthen through the front of the body, tail and crown lift. Exhale as you round through the spine, draw the navel in, scoop through the abdomen and tuck your chin in. Inhale, open up. Right into your cow pose, shoulders back, and then exhale, round the spine, squeeze from the abdomen, really tuck in from the front of the body. Inhale, open up. Exhale, curl. Inhale, open up. Exhale, curl. Good. Inhale back into your neutral spine. I'm going to do this from the side just so you have a little bit better view. And I want you to take your right foot out wide to the side. Toes are facing forward. That foot is going to line up with your left knee. So it's not back nor forward. It's straight out wide to the side. All right, here comes the fun stuff. I want you to take your left arm up towards the sky. Did I say my right leg? Right leg? Okay, good. Left arm up towards the sky. And you're going to thread that hand underneath and over towards that right leg, dipping your shoulder all the way down towards the ground. Good. Press with your right hand, which is underneath your right elbow. You're going to push it into the ground and see if you can roll a little bit more onto that left shoulder. So this should feel like a really good shoulder stretch, especially behind that left shoulder blade. Take another full breath in here. See if you can press into the top of your left hand to give yourself a little extra traction there. Some extra resistance. Good. And then pressing into your right hand, lift your left arm back up towards the sky, and then release that hand down. Keep your right leg out wide. You're going to walk your hands forward, dip down through your spine, and arch your back, almost like you're coming into a back bending type of down dog. So you're going to stretch out here, working right into that groin. Good. Maybe the forehead touches down to the ground. Maybe it's your chin if you have more of that flexibility there. Toes are still facing forward on that right foot. Good. And then pressing into your hands, lifting up from your abdomen. Walk the hands underneath your shoulders, switch sides. So right knee tucks in, left foot goes wide. Toes are facing forward. Inhale, take your right hand up towards the sky. Exhale as the hand threads underneath, dipping down through that shoulder, getting right into the back of that right shoulder blade. Left hand is going to be on the floor, directly underneath your elbow. Press down to twist. Good. So what we're twisting right now, that left hip is going to be lifted up. That's normal, and that's going to be expected. I want you to see if you can start to twist from your rib cage. So it's like you're wrapping that left side of the rib cage, so the left lung, up as the right side wraps from underneath towards the left side. Good. Another full breath in here. Breathing into the back of your body. And deep breath out. Pressing into your left hand, inhale, right arm goes wide and high. Exhale, the hand comes down. Walk the hands forward, stretching out your body. So you're going to walk the hands enough so that they're no longer underneath your face, still keeping your hips on top of that right knee. So that right thigh is vertical as you dip your chest down towards the ground. Breathe in and out through your nose. Last breath here. Press into your hands, lift from your abdomen, walk the hands back underneath your body, and then release left knee down to the floor. All right. How'd you guys like that one? Yeah? You're just looking at me and smiling. All right. Curl the toes under, send it back, downward facing dog. Hips high, head low. Ooh. If you guys took a very long break from all of your classes last week, this might feel really intense. So feel free to pedal out through your feet, marching through your heels one by one, maybe shaking your head, yes or no. And looking between your hands, walk your feet forward to the top edge of the mat. Feet are hips distance apart, toes are facing forward, and your feet are going to be parallel. So think more skis as opposed to pizza slices. Okay, bend your knees quite a bit. Lifting your tail up high, let the head hang down low. If it feels good for you, you can even wrap your arms, kind of folding them like so, weaving fingertips into opposite elbow creases. Sometimes I even prefer, for myself, wrapping the hands around the neck, elbows wrap around my ears, and I drag my elbows towards the floor. I think of less of bringing my hands towards the floor and more of the elbows reaching down so I get that extra weight. Release your hands all the way down. We're going to roll ourselves all the way up to stand, pulling up from the navel, stacking the vertebrae, and letting the head and shoulders come up last. Let's lift the shoulders up towards the ears, and then exhale, circle them down and back. Inhale, the shoulders lift. Exhale, down and back. And one more time. Inhale, lifting up, and exhale, looping them down and back. Standing in your mountain pose. Feet are still hips distance apart. Fingertips lengthening towards the ground, and the palms are going to be facing forward. See if you can lengthen the fingertips down a little bit more so you're dropping the collarbones and the shoulders. Good. Inhale, circle the arms wide and high, upward hand salute. Look up. Exhale, fold in half, tipping from the pelvis, bending your knees as your belly comes to thighs. Head relaxes down. Inhale, right foot steps back into lunge. Hips down, chest lifts. Look up, smile. Exhale, left foot steps back, downward facing dog. Hips high, head low. Stretching all the way back. And then inhale, draw the shoulders forward, stacking the shoulders over your wrist for plank. Exhale, the knees down, tail up, chest and chin to the ground. Inhale to your cobra, hips down, tops of feet to the ground. Float the heart up about a couple inches, keeping your head in line with the rest of the spine. Exhale as you lower down and press back, downward facing dog. Inhale, right foot steps forward, top edge of the mat, bringing it all the way there. Good, hips down, chest lifts, look up and smile. And then exhale, left foot steps forward, standing forward, fold, relax your neck. Inhale, coming up with that flat back, hands reach up towards the sky, upward hand salute. Exhale to your mountain pose. Inhale as you bring the arms up, upward hand salute. Exhale, fold in half, hinging from the hips and taking it down. Inhale, left foot steps back into lunge. Hips down, chest lifts, look up, smile. Exhale, right foot steps back, downward facing dog. Inhale to plank, shoulders over your wrists. Exhale, knees, chest, chin to the floor, Ashtanga Pranam. Inhale to your cobra, tops of feet down, anchor them into the ground, and then lift your heart up. Good, exhale, lower, and send it back, downward facing dog. Inhale, left foot steps forward, lunge, hips down, chest lifts, looking up, keeping that back knee lifted a little bit more. Good, Brenda, a little bit higher, if you can, back knee. Oh yeah, exhale, stepping forward, standing forward, fold. Inhale, coming up with that flat back, reaching all the way up, upward hand salute, and then exhale to your mountain pose. Inhale, upward hand salute. Exhale, fold in half. Inhale, right foot steps back, lunge, look up. Exhale, stepping back, downward facing dog. Inhale to plank. Exhale, knees, chest, chin. Inhale to cobra. Exhale, down, send it back, downward facing dog. Inhale, right foot forward, lunge. Exhale, left foot forward, standing forward, fold, relax the neck. Inhale, coming up, upward hand salute. Exhale to mountain pose. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, folding in half. Inhale, left foot back. Exhale, right foot back, downward facing dog. Inhale, plank. Exhale, knees, chest, chin. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, down, send it back, downward facing dog. Inhale, left foot forward, lunge. Exhale, right foot forward, standing forward, fold. Inhale, upward hand salute. And exhale to mountain pose. Now we're going to do 2 more rounds, and I'm going to cue you with the breath. However, you can go at your own pace. So I would highly recommend, taking it for the guidance for the breathing. However, if you have a shorter breathing pattern or a faster breathing pattern or a slower breathing pattern, work with that instead, okay? And I'd like for you to even think about like the pose names as we're going through these so that you can kind of quiz yourself on what we're doing, okay? So we're just gonna go through 2 more rounds with this, starting in your mountain pose. If you need to look up for any particular reason, feel free to look up, but I'm not going to give you more than just the breathing pattern for what we're doing, okay? So kind of quiz yourself, if you will, for what we are doing for our sun salutation. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, this one we do the right foot. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, right foot forward. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, left foot. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, left foot. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Good. How do we do on that? Yeah? Getting the sequence down a little bit better, more at a time, right? Good, good. All right, let's continue on then. Okay, let's do a little review from 2 weeks ago, our balancing practice. Let's bring our big toes together, heels slightly spread. Bend your knees, sink your hips, find your way into your chair pose. See if you can float your arms up and see as you float your arms up that your ribs are not popping out, okay? So I want you to imagine that these ribs can kind of lace up in towards each other, so kind of squeezing them in, but not so much that you're squeezing and compressing too much. I still want there to be a little bit of that breathing, but just kind of feel like these ribs are pulling down. So that might mean that your arms don't go all the way up. Okay, so you can see how maybe my arms are a little bit closer to the front of my face as opposed to all the way up and giving me that hyperextension in the spine. Sit your hips back a little bit more and then send your shins towards the back wall. We're going to take another full breath in here. Good. And now I want you to put the weight into your right foot. You're going to lift left leg up, cross it up and over. We're going right into our eagle pose. That's right. We're going right into our eagle pose. Draw the arms down, stack the right arm on top of the left, bend at the elbows, right wrist in front of left. Good. Sit down into it and then start to float your left foot up. Maybe the foot wraps around the back of the calf. Sit down a little bit more and invite your drishti to fix on something out in front of you. Remember that that is your visual focus, your gaze that's locked in on something that's not moving. Allow yourself to breathe here and just sit in the pose. Untangle the arms, lift yourself up, release the foot down, exhale, fold in half. Take it all the way down, standing forward fold. Inhale, bend your knees, sink your hips, make your way into your chair pose again. So again, we're not lifting the arms so much that they're going to cause the rib flare. I want you to keep your ribs pressing down in the opposite direction, but just lifting your arms up to a normal range for you. Good, another full breath here. Maybe lifting the toes up so you really feel that weight being pressed into your heels. And now put the weight into your left foot. Right leg lifts up and over, squeezing from those inner thighs. You can start with your pee-pee dance pose, so the toes on the floor, and then draw the arms down, left arm stacks on top of the right, wrap those wrists, left arm in front of right. Remember that you have the alternative of doing the arm wrap and grabbing a hold of opposite shoulder, especially if you have super tight shoulders and you're having difficulty with getting those arms or the elbows to tuck into each other. If you're ready, you can lift the foot up and start to sit into the pose. Breathe here. And see if you can find that softness, that sense of ease in the posture. Good. Untangle the arms. Lifting up through the leg, arms and releasing the leg down. Exhale, fold in half, standing forward, fold. Relax your head and neck. Shake it again. Now, I want you from here, lifting up to a flat back halfway up. So you bring your hands onto your shins, maybe just above your knees, but I want you to come up with that flat back, pulling navel in at the same time. So we're not in this tipped pelvis, we're not in a tucked pelvis. So we feel like there's going to be this co-contraction through the front and the back side. Sometimes it helps for me just to bring my hands to both the front and the back to feel that I'm actually engaging between both sides. Good. It's like a panini press, right? Your hands. Exhale, fold in half, hands come all the way down, and then walk your feet back into your plank position. Take a full breath in here, and then exhale, send it back, downward facing dog. Inhale, raise your right leg up to the sky, back behind you, down dog splits. Exhale as you step the right foot forward between your thumbs. Spin your left heel down, and then turn your left toes about towards this left side of the mat just a little bit. We're setting up for our side stance, warrior two. So turning belly towards the left side of your mat, branching out through your arms, and then sitting down into that right heel. Good, see if you can balance out through your hips and then gaze over your right fingertips. Good. Take another full breath in here. And exhale, lower the hips down a bit more. Good. Keep branching out through those arms. And then straightening out your right leg, engage through the thigh. Remember to slowly straighten it out. Reach forward through your right fingertips, take the hand down, left hand towards the sky. Very similar to what we were doing on our back. We're going to go in through some arm circles here. So I want you to take that left hand, the one that's up in the air, reach it towards the front of your mat and then all the way down. Sweeping it back up again and down and up again and down. And we're going to change directions when we go all the way up to the top. So switch directions, going back, down, forward, and up. Back, down, forward, and up. This time, we're going to let that hand catch to our outer low back. So I want you to reach the hand towards the back of the room. Flip the palm in the other direction. So the top of the hand is facing forward. You're going to bring that hand and tuck it to your low back. Okay? What that looks like from here. Eventually, we can start to slide the fingertips down and maybe even find that inner right hip, but just work with this kind of chicken wing-like sensation with that arm. Good, pressing into it and fanning your left elbow back. Another full breath in here and deep breath out. Good, inhale, lift yourself all the way up, bending your front knee back into your warrior two. And then exhale, reverse your warrior. Sending your right fingertips all the way up and back. Take your right hand, place it to the back of your head. Now push your head into your hand as you pull your right elbow away from your right wrist. Good, inhale, lift yourself back up, warrior two. And then exhale, you're going to cartwheel the hands all the way down, framing the foot and stepping back, downward facing dog. Big full breath in, deep full breath out. Inhale, raise your left leg to the sky, down dog splits. And then exhale, step the foot forward between your thumbs, setting up for warrior two. So side stance, remember, heel to arch alignment, lifting yourself up. You can cartwheel the arms if you'd like to. Good, and branching up through the fingertips. Sit down into the pose. Just imagine that you're feeling okay, that you're trusting enough that you can support yourself in this posture, that your body is strong enough to be here. Good. Looking out over your left fingertips. Branching out through the arms. Putting a little bit more weight in the outside of your left foot. Take another full breath in here. Then straightening out your left leg, doing so from the hamstring, lengthening it back. Reach forward with your left fingertips, driving that thigh bone deep into hip socket. Lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. Then take the left hand down either the thigh, shin, or the block. Right hand up towards the sky. We'll go for those arm circles. Sweeping the arm all the way across, down, up, across again, down, back, up, all the way forward, down, back and up. And now changing directions, reaching the hand back, down, and all the way up. Big circle here. And the next time the hand reaches all the way back, you're going to turn the palm to face in the opposite direction. So the top of the hand is facing towards the right side of the mat. You're going to bring that hand to your low back, fanning through the elbow, pressing the hand in, and then pulling the elbow back. Good. It should feel like your collarbone is widening here. Good. Squeeze from those inner thighs, pressing into those feet. Draw the navel in towards spine. Another full breath in here. Good, reaching that right arm back up towards the sky. Lift yourself up, bending your front knee back into your warrior two, and then coming into your reverse warrior. This is a side bend stretch, remember? Right hand slides down the back leg. You're gonna bend your left elbow, place the hand on the back of your head, press your head back into the hand. The head pushes into that elbow, into the hand. You're gonna feel the elbow moving away from the shoulder, away from the rib cage. And feel that big stretch in that lateral side of the body. Good, and then lifting yourself back up, warrior two, hands cartwheel all the way down, framing the foot, and stepping back, downward facing dog. Good, from here, I'm gonna turn around again. I want you to take your right leg up and back behind you, down dog splits, and then step the right foot to the outside of your right hand. Outside of your right hand, so the pinky side of your right hand. What that looks like is this. So my shoulders are to the inside of my right knee. Release your back knee down to the mat. Now, if you need the extra cushion, you can use a towel or roll up the side of your mat to give yourself a little extra padding. What that rolling up the mat kind of looks like is grabbing the edge and pulling it in. You can give yourself a lot of padding there, that kind of doubled up padding. I want this back knee to be rather far away from my pelvis. So I don't want it to be directly underneath me, kind of in a kneeling position. I want to be more in this lunging position. Okay, so this posture, lizard pose, this is kind of the beginning stage of it. And depending on what you have available for you, you might have to work with a few different things. So if you happen to have a block or books, or something that's hard and sturdy, you can also use your blanket, something that has that thickness to it. You can place it along the inside of the foot, and you're gonna lower your elbows on top of it. Okay, so eventually the posture is without elbows, without elbows propped up on something, elbows come all the way down to the ground. So giving yourself whatever you need to work with, if that means that you are kind of still on your hands, that's completely fine, okay? But see if you can sink your hips forward towards that front edge of the mat, and then move your shoulder to the inside of the foot, the inside of the knee. So the, Yes. And then pressing down through the ball of the foot, start to lower yourself, kind of like you're doing a little push-up. Yeah. You feel that stretch? I see a smile. An eyebrow raise. Good. Melissa, bend your right knee a little bit more. So you're going forward. There you go. Just with your hips. Yes. So you guys are probably feeling this one, yeah? This one tends to get pretty intense for a lot of us, especially into that hamstring of that right leg, but then also into that left hip flexor. So as I mentioned, the front of that pelvis. Woo. All right, one more deep breath in here. Press into your hands, back toes curl under. You're gonna step back, downward facing dog. Oh yeah. Ooh. All right, let's work the other side. Inhale, left leg goes up and back behind you, down dog splits, and then exhale, left foot steps forward all the way to the outside of your left hand. So it goes to the pinky toe side. Release your right knee down to the mat, top of your right foot on the ground. And then maybe starting to lower yourself down onto your elbows. Maybe they're propped up onto a block. You have different heights that you can play with if you do have a block. Tallest height, medium, and then the lowest. I like to do mine in a horizontal fashion. So I can place both of my elbows on there. The one that's going to be the trickiest is that left elbow, that inside elbow to that leg. Brenda, that looks good. Hope it feels good too. Hannah, you doing okay? No. What do you need help with?
I honestly am having trouble with it altogether.
Okay.
I feel like I'm falling forward.
Okay. Where is your back knee when you're doing this? Can you see how my back knee is pretty far away from me?
Yeah.
Yeah, you will be like here, but if your foot is here, you're gonna feel like you're falling forward. So I want the shin to be vertical on this left leg.
Okay.
Yeah, and you're gonna still be facing towards that front edge of the mat. There we go. Yeah, turn a little bit more towards your left foot or with your torso, with your shoulders. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, you guys are going to be feeling this tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. My body's going to hate me tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good stuff for you guys, though.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm just not liking how this is feeling right now.
Yeah, I know.
I know it's probably good for me, though.
And that's the fun thing, right? We get to learn on how to make this a better experience. So even if we don't like it, even if we're like, okay, I'm gripping my jaw, I'm clenching my hands, mentally, you might be clenching and gripping as well. See if you can invite your breath into your body and just find that sense of ease. So maybe a full breath in, open up your mouth, let it out. Good, one more breath like that. Good, let's slowly come out. Hands press into the floor as if you guys have a choice. You're not going quickly out of this. Left foot goes back. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Downward facing dog. Oh. I miss hearing sound effects while teaching. Your sound effects. I miss hearing people grunt and groan.
Well, sometimes I like to mute myself because sometimes I have a tendency to curse, so I don't want to hear anyone else to hear that. Especially not anyone out in my house because I'd be in trouble.
Yeah. Good. Let's lower the knees down to the floor. Woo!
Ooh.
Okay. Walk your knees all the way forward towards your wrists. Let's cross one ankle or shin over the other. And I want you to sit back behind your feet.
Okay.
Okay. So this next particular posture is known as cow face pose, Gomukhasana. Cow face pose looks a little bit like a seated version of our eagle pose, at least in the legs. The arm portion of it is a little bit different and may take a bit of a work. We're going to work on that arm portion in the next practice for next week. Okay, so we're just going to be doing the leg portion of this one. It's still rather tricky as well. So with this one, I want you to bring your right knee so it lines up with your belly buttons. Notice how I shifted that leg towards the midline of my body, that midline. The foot is going to be to the outside of my left hip. Okay. You're going to lean over to that right hip. This is going to help you lift this left foot up. This left ankle is going to come to the outer right hip. Okay, so now your knees are kind of stacking a little bit. Then I want you to take your left hand, hook it into your left hip crease, anchor that hip all the way down. Okay, so you guys may have been the feeling like, oh, okay, screaming internally. This is a great option for using a block. You can be on your block, placing it underneath both of your sit bones. And this should free up so much more space in your pelvis to allow you to feel like, oh, okay, I can actually have that space to work on bringing my foot in a little bit closer, okay? I'm just gonna make a generalization, and it's not true of everyone, but gentlemen who are practicing right now, I don't see anybody on the call currently. Gentlemen tend to be a little bit tougher with working on their hips. Women, just as a general rule, tend to have wider hips because of our birthing ability. And gentlemen have more narrow hips, okay? Which makes it a little bit more difficult to find those types of external rotation. So if you're struggling with this right now, don't worry about it, okay? Don't feel like you suck at this or that you're just a horrible yogi. Just know that this is a very challenging position for a lot of people. If you are struggling with this in even a seated position that you can't get yourself up onto a block or a blanket or something underneath your body, you can do this on your back. So what that looks like from here is on your back and working on at least this top knee, the one that's closest to your body. Wrapping your fingertips around that and then bringing that knee towards the center of your body. If you can get your hands underneath that other knee, the one that's furthest away from you, that's fine. But I really want you to work on this one, moving towards that center line or that sternum that you're trying to reach for. Okay? So for those of you who are seated in this, if those knees are stacked and lined up with the belly button, yeah, Hannah, keep working with getting those knees a little bit closer and towards each other. And if you need that.
Ooh, okay.
What if I don't feel much of a stretch sitting on the floor? Okay, Joyce, we're going to be getting into that right now. Okay. And Matt, yes, I understand. Okay, so from this, I want you to hold your feet if you want to feel a deeper stretch here. Some of you may just stay here and work with this. If you want that deeper stretch, angle your belly button forward, start to lean into it and see if you can get that weight to go over the top knee. Keep your feet anchored onto the ground and then see if you can lower that left sit bone down even more. So it's the left side that should be feeling a good majority of the stretch, although you may be feeling it in both hips or even just a little bit of the right side more than the left, just depending on your imbalances of your body. Joyce, are you feeling it a little bit deeper there?
Yes, I am.
All right. Good stuff. What's awesome about this pose, and I think it's awesome, is that Gomukhasana or cow face pose was actually mentioned in the Hatha Yoga Pradipika. And that book of work was written in the 1450s. So, only 100 years ago, which a good majority of the postures that we're doing are not that old. Hatha yoga was developed, or what most of the works were developed. There were only about 25 postures in the 1500s. And then they started to grow about 200 years ago, even like 100 years ago, more so. So most of the postures that we are doing tend to be rather new. This posture is a really old posture. It's actually the version sitting upright and then working with the arms, which we'll do the arms as I promised next week. So it's really interesting that this is a 500-year-old movement that people back in the day, way back in the day, used to have trouble with opening their hips as well. All right, let's go ahead and lift up. We're gonna switch sides. So if you're on your back, just untangle the legs and switch the sides. Kind of think of like one of those sprinklers, kind of switching. We're gonna do the same thing. Lean back here, untangle, and you're going to change it up. Good. So if that wasn't possible and you're like, that was not very graceful, work with what you've got. Hook your right thumb into your hip crease and anchor that hip down. That's going to be the one that's going to have that most trouble with getting it hip down. Yeah, I feel it too. Good. All right. Cow face pose. And when we do this posture in the next class next week with the arm portion of it, you'll start hopefully be able to see the cow face in the shape of the pose. All right, let's go ahead and lift up a little bit taller and then lean forward into that stretch, bringing your belly button towards your knee. It most likely will not touch unless you have a very long torso and very short legs. Body proportions are interesting. Good. And as you're leaning forward, just remembering to keep your shoulders relaxed, your mouth and jaw soft. And just breathe here. And just inviting that sense of ease, remembering that sometimes we need to let go. We need to open up that gate. Not be so afraid of doing something. Allow ourselves to see it in a new light. Maybe we see this as an opportunity for us to just be with our breath. Notice the sensation of stretch. Maybe that sensation of stretch is not as bad as you remembered it to be. Last full breath here. Good, and slowly inhale, lift yourself all the way up. All right, let's counter that with a big wide leg seated forward fold. So I want you to lean back. If you are on your back, please come up to seated again. And let's take our legs out nice and wide. You can turn sideways on your mat if you prefer, so you can actually have your heels touching onto a padded surface. Want the toes to be pointed upright. See if you can upright your pelvis. Okay, if you need to bend your knees a little bit, that's fine. Walk your fingertips forward. Find that stretch. Take a full breath in here. And then exhale, walk the fingertips forward a little bit more. Lengthening out through the spine. And exhaling as you hinge from the pelvis, keeping the whole torso moving at once. Full breath. Good. Remind your body that this is not a life or death situation. So we don't need to go into that sympathetic nervous system, that fight or flight. Remind yourself with your breath, a slowing breath, that this is a time for you to just find that sense of ease and stretch. And slowly start to make your way up. Ooh. Scoop the hands from the back sides of the legs. Lean back as you draw the legs together. We're going to make our way all the way down onto our back. Take the legs with you, please.
Oh, okay.
Rock side to side, massage out your low back.
Okay.
Good. Come back to stillness. Plant the feet on the floor. We're going to go into one bridge. We will be repeating this later on as well. Put your arms to come down by your sides. Feet are hips distance apart. Scoop from the pelvis. So you're reaching up through your pubic bone. Start to ground through your heels and raise the hips up towards the ceiling or the sky. Press down through your arms. So the hands and the upper arms are reaching towards the ground as you lengthen your knees in the opposite direction. Take another full breath in here. Deep breath out. Big inhale, raise the hips even higher. See if you can do so from the front of the pelvis. So the very lowest portion of the pelvis. And then start to lower the spine down one vertebra at a time until your low back and then pelvis comes down to the ground. Heel toe your feet to the outer edges of the mat. Toes are still facing forward. I want you to let the knees tip from side to side like windshield wipers, going right to left, right to left. And coming back in through center, extend the legs out in front of you, one heel at a time, or bend the knees and have yourself in a half corpse position. Arms resting down by your sides, and maybe a towel comes over your eyes. Take a few of your deepest breaths here. And then allow yourself just to relax. No longer manipulating the breath, but allowing the breath to just slowly move throughout the body as you focus on the weight of your pelvis and your head, the areas of contact like your shoulders and upper back, your calves and heels, and even the tops of the hands as they rest lightly on the floor. From where you are, take a full breath in. Deep breath out. Another full breath in. This time I want you to hold your breath in at the top. Just feel that the breath is lightly suspended here. And exhale, release, slowly easing it out. Inhale, fill up again. Hold the breath in at the top, and then this time I want you to sip the breath in a little bit more. So just drink up a little bit more and hold. Feel that full expansion of the lungs. And exhale, see if you can control the breath on the way out. Slowly, gently guiding it out. If your legs are straight, slowly slide your heels in, bending your knees up towards the sky. We're going to roll over onto one side. Pressing your top hand into the floor, extend your top leg, ease your way up to a comfortable seat. Let's bring the hands together at heart center in Anjali Mudra. Bow your head softly forward. Feel free to unmute yourself for the closing of our practice. The light within me bows to the light within you. Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste.